the people who are aware of Zionist influence on U.S. policy are growing, both in numbers and in anger. But, of course, this is still a relatively small portion of the population, because the American media is dominated by people who are coming out of ethnic Jewish backgrounds, and the vast majority of the most powerful and the most wealthy of those people who dominate the media, who happen to be Jewish, at least ethnically, they're not very religious mostly, those people psychologically, I think, are unable to really break with a sort of atavistic tendency to spin things in favor of Israel. No matter what the Zionists do, the media is just not interested in exposing it, especially if it's really embarrassing. I think Jewish people are brought up to believe that the goys, the non-Jewish people, are very dangerous and hate them and might want to exterminate them. And so even liberal, kind Jewish people, really, there are a lot of good ones, good Jewish people, who are honestly terrified of what might happen, for instance, if the truth about 9/11 came out. Israel was very likely involved in murdering the Kennedys, in blowing up the Twin Towers on 9/11, in order to trick the U.S. into a war that would kill millions and really harm U.S. interests by destroying Israel's enemies. So I think NATO really is the main instigator of this war. NATO did everything they could to provoke it. It's a little bit like what happened with Pearl Harbor in World War II. They did a whole list of these acts of war that were designed to force Japan to strike, and then they intercepted the codes, and they knew where Japan was going to strike, and they let it happen in order to make sure that enough Americans were killed and enough old useless mothballed battleships were taken out while they got the aircraft carriers out to sea, that it would provide, it would turn around American anti-war sentiment. And of course, 45% of the Ukrainian people are Russian-speaking. So essentially, these diabolical American mind control intelligence people brainwashed the 55% of Ukrainian-speaking Ukrainians to hate the 45% of Russian-speaking Ukrainians, and all of this was designed to create exactly the situation that we see today. So yeah, I put most of the blame for the situation on NATO, and I see what Russia is doing is largely inevitable.